wasn't playing football and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it, but I don't know what kind of half a homo that is, and you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them, but they were so close that they had matching white girls together.
If you're anything like me and you just finished watching 50 Cent's Diddy documentary on Netflix, you probably caught something that felt off immediately. One major name was missing, and I mean completely gone. Jay-Z was nowhere to be found. No clips, no photos, no mentions, nothing at all, and that wasn't an accident. Turns out Netflix allegedly cut an entire segment from episode 4. The piece was supposedly called The Jay-Z Tapes, and sources say 50 Cent fought hard to keep it in. He didn't just complain either, he pushed back heavy, but at the very last second, that whole section vanished. And now I'm breaking down exactly what they didn't want people to see.
How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing to see what's right there.
Now look, I already know what some people are thinking. How would some YouTuber know what got removed from a Netflix documentary? That's a fair question, but here's the deal, I've got receipts. I've been tracking blind items tied to this documentary for months. Way before it dropped, I talked about how 50 Cent allegedly clashed with the producers because he wanted more control over what made the final cut. People laughed it off and said it was made up. Then Gene Deal went on record in recent interviews and confirmed that tension was real. So no, this isn't random talk or internet noise. Even 50 Cent himself added fuel to this situation when he posted on Instagram just days ago. His caption said, "Yes, I have the footage, LOL, and yes, that post is still up, go look for yourself."
Here we go. Here's a fun little fact. I actually have verifiable knowledge of all 15 of Mr. Carter's illegitimate children that he hides from the world.
When 50 says he has footage and throws in that laughing emoji, that's not a joke, that's a message. He's basically telling everyone that what I'm about to share actually exists. Netflix just decided you weren't supposed to see it. And before we even get into the wild stuff that got cut, let me point something out. Did you notice how everyone else in that documentary caught heat? J-Lo was mentioned. Biggie's story was discussed. Cassie was front and center, but Jay-Z completely missing. Not even a single photo, not one. That's not some random mistake, my friend. That's a damage control, plain and simple. When someone that powerful gets a total pass while everyone else around them is getting dragged into the spotlight, you've got to ask one question: what are they trying to protect? So get ready, because this part gets wild fast. But before we break down what was allegedly cut, there's something you need to understand first, and don't stress. I'm not about to run through decades of history or side stories. I'm sticking strictly to what you came here for.
We finally gonna have a real conversation about whether or not Rihanna was trafficked to Def Jam.
She was an innocent baby when she came over here. And look
She
at
was
her now.
14 going on 15 years old, flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning in a hotel room, auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl.
With no parental consent.
With
She
no
just-
parental, nobody. She was flown. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone with no parental supervision.
Jay-Z and Diddy weren't just two guys who crossed paths at industry events. According to people close to the situation, they were tight, like really tight. And no, this isn't just about music or business deals. This goes way deeper than studio sessions. Enter Gene Deal. Diddy's former bodyguard, who's been speaking openly lately, came out and directly challenged claims made by Jay-Z's legal team. When Diddy started facing serious accusations, Jay-Z's side quickly put out a statement saying they weren't even close friends. Gene Deal responded and basically said that version of the story wasn't true at all. And don't take my word for it. Gene explained this publicly and the clips are still out there. Gene pointed out that these two weren't hanging out playing basketball, baseball, or football together. So why did Diddy walk up on stage in Atlanta and pat Jay-Z on his backside? Then Diddy told the crowd, "Can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z." That wasn't whispered backstage, that was said in front of everyone. Now be real for a second. That's a very specific level of closeness. And according to Gene, Jay-Z didn't push back on that energy at all. He matched it. Gene also claimed they used to joke with each other saying, "Yo, how's your skinny white girl doing?" Those aren't casual conversations between distant associates. That's the kind of talk that comes from people who know each other's personal business, and that's exactly why some believe Jay-Z is keeping his distance right now. But here's where things take another sharp turn.
After I found out what actually happened to Aaliyah, there was no way I could stay.
Oh my God.
And then I started doing my research, and I started talking to other victims. I should have never signed that non-disclosure agreement, but I did. I took the blood oath, and so did my first husband.
Whoa.
And I left.
That's why it ain't never been right since, because you left it. You don't leave anything like that.
I did. And he was paid to be my husband so no one would know who I was really involved.
Remember when Jaguar Wright went on Piers Morgan's show and started talking about Jay-Z and Diddy? That segment didn't just disappear slowly, it got wiped so fast it barely had time to breathe. Now here's where things really started spiraling. Jaguar was on air explaining why so many people in the industry are scared to speak up. She said fear runs everything. Then she started naming names point blank, and almost instantly that entire segment vanished from the internet. Just gone. When someone has the kind of influence to wipe conversations off major TV platforms, that's not normal. That's protection mode, and it usually means something big is being guarded. So let's break down what 50 Cent allegedly wanted people to see in episode 4. The first major reveal focused on claims about Jay-Z's private life. And when I say private, I mean extremely locked down. Now let me be clear and fair here. These were allegations made by others, not proven facts, and that distinction matters. But according to Jaguar Wright, she claimed there were multiple individuals connected to Jay-Z's past who were kept out of the public eye through legal agreements and settlements. She said this wasn't rumor level talk, but information she believed was documented. Jaguar, who's been around the industry for decades, doesn't sugarcoat anything. In one viral clip, she said, "I actually have verifiable knowledge of multiple children tied to Mr. Carter that the public doesn't know about." That statement alone sent shockwaves online. Again, these are claims, not confirmed facts. But the reason it matters is because 50 Cent allegedly wanted to explore how powerful figures use NDAs, settlements, and legal pressure to control narratives. He wanted to show documents, contracts, and patterns that raise questions, not make final judgments.
Last question. I asked you to do this earlier, but I just want you to do it even more, go detailed. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's true killer is going to be unveiled, and it's not a man. And that woman died screaming.
Anything else?
Yeah, show him the tape, Diddy. You got it.
Oh, man,
That might buy you a little time. You should probably stop looking for plastic surgeons.
man.
Looking for a new life, new face. We gonna hang you high. Jay-Z too, Beyonce too, and we gonna round up all the See, I love a good gay man. I just can't stand him. And that's what it is.
With that being
You wanna know what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
I'm about to up America.
According to insiders, Netflix shut that idea down fast. Too much legal risk, too much exposure, and possibly too much pressure coming from high-powered legal teams. The whole angle got labeled untouchable. Think about it for a second though. When conversations around legal agreements and hidden arrangements are completely off limits, people naturally start asking why, what's being protected, what stories are considered too dangerous to even question. And then it gets even heavier. Jaguar also claimed that some industry practices involve manipulation and exploitation of vulnerable people. These were serious accusations, and if even partially true, they raised disturbing ethical concerns. 50 Cent reportedly had sources willing to speak on camera about industry power dynamics and abuse of influence, but once again, none of that made it into the final cut. Episode 4 was stripped down completely, and that's what was originally supposed to be shown. Now this next part is one of the most controversial stories people keep bringing up, and it needs to be handled carefully. Claims have circulated online saying Rihanna was pushed into a high-pressure industry situation at a very young age. Not proven facts, but allegations that continue to spark debate. Before anyone jumps to conclusions, let's slow it down and walk through the timeline that Rihanna herself has discussed publicly in interviews. At the time, she was living in Barbados and she was 16 years old. A music producer named Evan Rogers discovered her and said he wanted to help launch her career. Shortly after, plans were made for her to travel to the United States. Rihanna has confirmed that she flew to America as a teenager to meet music executives. She's spoken openly about how intense and intimidating that moment felt. Being young, far from home, and stepping into a massive industry is overwhelming for anyone. What raised eyebrows for many people is that her early meetings reportedly didn't happen in a typical office setting. According to stories that have circulated for years, one meeting with Jay-Z took place late at night at a hotel rather than a studio. Again, this detail has fueled discussion online, not confirmed wrongdoing. Jaguar Wright later added her own claims to this story, alleging financial agreements were made between adults involved in the situation. These claims have never been proven and remain allegations only. It's important to be clear about that. There have also been online discussions about paperwork, travel arrangements, and how young artists were moved internationally in the early 2000s. Industry practices back then were far less transparent than they are today, which is why these stories continue to resurface. What is confirmed is that Rihanna has said she stayed in meetings for hours and felt enormous pressure to make life-changing decisions at a very young age. She has described the experience as intense, intimidating, and overwhelming. People still debate whether that environment was appropriate for someone so young, and that's the real issue many point to. The power imbalance, the pressure, the lack of protection for young talent. These are the kinds of questions critics say 50 Cent wanted viewers to think about. Not accusations, but conversations about how the industry handled young artists behind closed doors, and that's why this story refuses to go away. Let's rewind and look at Rihanna's own words, because this part often gets overlooked.
It's a 50-foot bed under the moonlight in his backyard, and he'd be like, I'm not going nowhere today. I'm staying in the bed all fucking day. I got Rihanna in the bed, Jay-Z in the bed. I got everybody in the motherfucking bed. I'm God now. That's what he said.
In an older interview, she was asked about the biggest change after moving to America. Her answer was raw and honest. She said being away from her friends and family was the hardest part. She explained that after growing up surrounded by her mom and friends for 17 years, she suddenly moved to a massive city where she didn't know anyone. She literally said she was living around strangers. God, that word matters. A teenage girl in a brand new country, separated from her entire support system, surrounded by people she didn't know. That alone raises serious questions about protection and boundaries in the industry at that time. So people started asking, who were these strangers? Who was actually looking out for her best interests during those early years? Those questions have never fully gone away. Now here's another detail that critics keep pointing to, and it doesn't sit right with a lot of people. Right before Jay-Z officially signed Rihanna, Def Jam was heavily promoting another young artist named Tyra Marie. She was also 16 at the time, extremely talented, and already signed to the label under L.A. Reid. Jay-Z was publicly involved in her rollout. She was positioned as the next big star. Then Rihanna arrives, and almost overnight, everything changes. Tyra Marie is dropped from the label, her momentum stops, and Rihanna's career takes off fast. Over the years, rumors and online speculation have linked Tyra Marie to anonymous legal claims involving alleged inappropriate conduct from when she was underage. To be clear, these are allegations discussed publicly online, not proven facts, but people still point to the timing and the silence surrounding her exit from the label. And when you line up the pattern people talk about, it makes some uncomfortable. Young female artists, massive power imbalances, careers that seem to rise or disappear quietly. Then there's another industry mystery fans constantly bring up. Rihanna and Beyonce have never officially collaborated. Not a single song. Same label family, both global superstars, yet no joint records and very few public appearances together. Is that proof of anything? No, but but rumors have filled that silence for years, and speculation thrives where answers don't exist. Some fans even point to Rihanna's anti-album cover from 2016. It shows a young girl wearing a crown that covers her eyes. Many interpret it as symbolism, innocence, blindness, a child unable to see what's happening around her. Whether that imagery means anything deeper or not, one thing is clear. These stories refuse to fade because the industry has a long history of leaving young talent unprotected, and that's why people keep asking questions. Jaguar Wright has called this a cry for help, and she didn't mince words. She pointed to the album title Anti, saying it symbolized being opposed to what happened behind the scenes. In her view, it was resistance, a statement, like saying, "I'm against all of this, but nobody wanted to hear it." People were busy dancing, streaming, and celebrating while missing the darker message she believed was right in front of us. According to insiders, 50 Cent had this whole angle lined up for episode 4. Interviews with former Def Jam employees, timelines, paper trails, context, not gossip, but people explaining how things unfolded back then. And allegedly, Netflix shut it all down, too controversial, too risky, and maybe too close to uncomfortable truths. And then there's Aaliyah, because she was supposed to be a massive part of the Jay-Z segment. 50 reportedly had people willing to speak on camera about what really went on during that era. What is publicly known is that R. Kelly was involved with Aaliyah when she was very young, and that situation later raised serious legal and ethical concerns. That part is documented.
Cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you could talk about this shit and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know, some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't streaky.
What many people don't like to talk about is how widespread the knowledge was in the industry. Numerous figures have said that many insiders knew R. Kelly's behavior was troubling and chose to distance themselves. Dame Dash, who was Jay-Z's business partner at the time, has openly said he wanted nothing to do with R. Kelly. Others echoed that same stance. The reputation was there, and people were aware. But Jay-Z didn't just keep things professional with R. Kelly, he collaborated extensively, not just a feature or a one-off song, but full joint projects. That decision alone has raised questions for years, especially considering what many in the industry already believed about R. Kelly at the time. Now here's where things get sensitive, and it's important to be fair. Over the years, rumors have circulated that Jay-Z showed interest in Aaliyah while she was still very young. There is no definitive proof of this, and these claims remain unverified. That lack of proof is likely why Netflix reportedly refused to include this section at all. What is confirmed is that Dame Dash later dated Aaliyah when she was an adult. That timeline is public, but critics still ask uncomfortable questions about earlier years, industry dynamics, and who was around during that time. Those unanswered questions are exactly what 50 Cent allegedly wanted viewers to think about. Not to declare guilt, but to examine patterns, power, and silence, and that's why this part never made it to air. So the big question people keep asking is this: why was Jay-Z so comfortable working with R. Kelly when so many others kept their distance? Some believe it wasn't just about music, but about shared industry circles and access. That's where Jaguar Wright comes back into the picture, and yes, she's been making explosive claims for years. Jaguar has alleged that she was pressured into signing extreme confidentiality agreements. She described them as more than standard NDAs, saying they felt like lifelong silence contracts meant to keep people quiet about what they witnessed in the industry. These are her claims, not proven facts, but they've raised eyebrows because of how consistent her stories have been over time. She has also claimed that her personal life was manipulated for appearances. Jaguar alleged that her former husband was financially supported to act as her public partner, while powerful industry figures controlled other aspects of her life. Again, these are allegations, but they paint a picture of how tightly managed some artists' lives allegedly were. Jaguar has also said that once she learned certain details about Aaliyah's experiences in the industry, she felt she could no longer stay silent. She's never fully explained what she meant by that, which has only fueled speculation. Now, to be clear and responsible, Aaliyah tragically died in a plane crash in 2001, and there is no proof of foul play. Officially, it was ruled an accident. However, conspiracy theories have existed for years, largely because Aaliyah was reportedly trying to gain independence, make her own decisions, and step away from certain industry pressures. What is widely acknowledged is that she was growing up evolving as an artist, and no longer playing by other people's rules. Then her life was suddenly cut short. That timing has kept questions alive even without evidence of wrongdoing. According to sources, 50 Cent wanted episode 4 to explore these patterns, not to accuse anyone of crimes. The focus was meant to be on control, silence, and how young artists, especially young women, were allegedly managed and restricted when they tried to break free. But Netflix reportedly wanted no part of that conversation. Too many legal risks, too many influential names, too many potential consequences. And here's the part that should really make people pause. There are individuals in the entertainment world who appear on major platforms, sit across from high-profile journalists, and somehow never face the toughest questions. And when someone does push those questions, that footage often disappears. That's exactly what people point to with Jaguar Wright's appearance on Piers Morgan's show. She sat down and began naming powerful figures: Jay-Z, Diddy, Beyonce. She brought up Kathy White. She talked about trafficking allegations and unexplained deaths. Heavy topics. Piers Morgan, known for pressing guests hard, let her speak. And then that segment, it was gone. And that disappearance is what keeps this conversation alive. The interview actually aired, people clipped it, shared it, reposted it, and then suddenly that entire segment disappeared from official platforms. Just wiped. That's the level of influence people are talking about here. The power to erase conversations from the public record like they never happened. Now let's talk about Kathy White, because a lot of people don't even recognize that name anymore, and that's not by accident. Jay-Z's team has worked hard over the years to make sure her name barely shows up in searches. Kathy White was widely rumored online to have been romantically involved with Jay-Z. Multiple blogs and insiders at the time claimed she was pregnant. Then in 2011, she suddenly passed away. The official cause of death was listed as a brain aneurysm. Now, to be clear and responsible, there is no proof of wrongdoing here. Aneurysms are real medical events, but critics argue that they are also impossible to investigate years later, which is why conspiracy theories often attach themselves to cases like this. Jaguar Wright later made explosive claims tying Kathy White's death into larger industry power dynamics. These are allegations only, not confirmed facts, but they added fuel to an already quiet story that many felt vanished too fast. Here's where people start connecting dots. Jaguar's claim that Diddy allegedly possesses compromising information about multiple industry figures. Again, this is her allegation, but if someone holds damaging material, that creates leverage. And leverage explains why certain relationships never fully break, even when public scandals explode. And it doesn't stop there. Online forums have compiled long lists of people connected to Jay-Z and Beyonce whose careers stalled suddenly or whose lives ended under tragic circumstances. None of this is proof of crimes, but the pattern is what critics keep pointing to. Then there's Kimberly Thompson, Beyonce's former drummer. She made headlines after filing for a restraining order in court. In her filing, she made extreme claims involving manipulation, intimidation, and psychological distress. The court ultimately dismissed the request, and no wrongdoing was legally established. Now, you might think that sounds wild, and a lot of people did, but here's what's factual. Kimberly Thompson is not a random person. She's a highly trained musician who studied at Berklee College of Music. She was personally selected by respected music director Terry Lyne Carrington to join Beyonce's all-female band. After her court filing, Thompson publicly stated she struggled to find work in the industry. Critics say this highlights how quickly careers can collapse once powerful systems turn cold. Again, none of this proves criminal behavior, but it shows how fear, silence, and influence operate in entertainment. And that's the theme 50 Cent reportedly wanted episode 4 to explore. Not accusations, but how power shapes who gets heard and who disappears. Because when stories keep vanishing, people start asking why. That's the level of power people believe the circle has, the ability to shut doors, erase careers, and make people vanish from the industry without a trace. And nobody asks questions because everyone's scared of being next. Here's something wild though. Sometimes the people labeled as crazy are the ones saying things others are too afraid to admit. Orlando Brown is a perfect example. He's been mocked non-stop. People say he's unstable, chasing attention, or not credible. But when he talks about about what he claims to have seen in the entertainment world, some people think it deserves at least a listen. Orlando Brown went viral after speaking about alleged experiences around Diddy's parties. Those clips are still circulating. He described an over-the-top setup including what he claimed was an enormous bed placed outdoors during gatherings. According to Orlando, these events lasted all night and involved powerful industry figures. He described a scene under the moonlight saying people would come and go while influential names stayed around for hours. He even mentioned specific celebrities, though these comments remain allegations, not verified facts. Still, the imagery alone shocked a lot of viewers. According to sources, this was exactly the kind of party culture 50 Cent allegedly wanted to explore in episode 4. The idea wasn't to make criminal accusations, but to show how certain power players moved in the same social circles repeatedly, not just business partners, but people connected through private environments most outsiders never see. Netflix reportedly wanted no part of that. The legal fallout alone would have been massive. Lawsuits, backlash, and pressure from high-powered attorneys. The risk was simply too high. Gene Deal touched on something important in a recent interview. He said that for years, a lot of questionable behavior in the entertainment world stayed hidden because people were scared or silenced. But now, with platforms like YouTube and social media, more individuals are speaking about what they personally witnessed. He also made a sharp point. These aren't street figures with codes of loyalty. These are entertainers protecting images and money. When things get uncomfortable, people distance themselves fast. And here's the chilling part. Critics keep repeating. When someone publicly challenges Jay-Z or that inner circle, their career seems to stall or collapse. Sometimes quietly, sometimes very publicly. People point to moments like when Killer Mike won multiple Grammys in one night. It should have been pure celebration. Instead, headlines shifted when he was briefly detained over a minor issue with security that many felt could have been handled calmly. Was it intentional? There's no proof, but moments like that fuel the belief that power can flip a narrative instantly. And that's the pattern people say episode 4 was meant to expose. Not accusations, but influence, control, and how fast success can turn into silence when you step out of line. But instead of celebrating, he ends that night in handcuffs. What should have been the biggest moment of Killer Mike's career instantly got overshadowed. And right away, whispers started spreading through the industry, people quietly saying that a phone call was made, allegedly that Jay-Z had influence behind the scenes to make sure that moment got derailed. Now, to be clear, that claim has never been proven. It's industry talk, not fact. But people bring it up because Killer Mike had been speaking openly about uncomfortable topics. And critics say when you speak too loudly, consequences show up fast. And that leads to the real question everyone keeps circling back to. Why did Netflix cut an entire segment from episode 4? Why remove content that 50 Cent reportedly fought hard to keep in? The answer people keep landing on is power. Jay-Z isn't just a rapper, he's a billionaire businessman with deep connections, entertainment, media, politics, corporate boardrooms. His reach goes far beyond music. According to insiders, once Netflix executives realized what was tied to that Jay-Z focused segment, alarms went off. Airing it could have triggered a legal nightmare. Injunctions, lawsuits, backroom pressure, calls from other powerful people who didn't want certain conversations exposed. Netflix made a business decision, play it safe, tell part of the story instead of risking everything. A complete documentary might have meant endless court battles and massive blowback. So they cut it, and everyone knows who the missing piece was about. Nobody says it out loud, but everybody knows. And right now, that silence still speaks volumes. So now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Netflix was pressured to remove that segment? Do you believe the allegations surrounding Rihanna, Aaliyah, and Kathy White deserve deeper investigation? Or do you think this is all conspiracy talk fueled by grudges and rumors? Let me know what you think, because this conversation is far from over. If this video made you think, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next, and most importantly, leave a comment. I read them. I'll see you in the next one.